Okay, please go to Blackboard and go to Module 6. Module 6, Data Files, Tutorial, and let's bring up the New Mexico one. If you just bring up one that has data in it. And I'm going to enable editing there. So one thing that's in this last module is something called hyperlinks. And when you say hyperlinks, you think of typically web links, right? You think of hyperlinking to a website. And that's one thing we can do in Excel. But there's other things as well. So let us go into any worksheet. I'm just picking the documentation because that's all we really need to do. Let's type in here. Let's link to ESPN. Okay, so in any cell, just type in ESPN. And then go up here to Insert. And we've inserted tables and pivot tables and charts and spark lines. Go to Hyperlinks. Okay, over here under the Insert menu, you see Links. Insert a hyperlink. And down at the bottom, it says Existing File or Web Page. Well, this is going to be a web page. So I have to specify the path. http://www.espn.com. And the text to display right now is ESPN. That's what I have typed in there. I could type in ESPN, I don't know, web, right, so desired. And I click OK. And now I've inserted a hyperlink. And this could be useful. Let's say you're putting together a spreadsheet of, I don't know, stocks, your portfolio for someone, and you could link out to their Google Finance page. If someone wants more information, just click on the name of the stock symbol, and it'll take you out there. So if we click on ESPN.com, it should go out to my browser, whatever my default browser is, and load it. Okay. So that isn't the only type of hyperlink I can do. Let's go to hyperlink again. And let's go to place in this document. Okay. And let's say text to display. Let's display Q3. And then down here, click on Q3 and click OK. Okay, now I've built some navigation within the workbook. Okay, so it hyperlinks within this document, if you will. That work for you guys? Okay, some other things I can do. It doesn't necessarily have to be a web address or within the document. I can hyperlink to a let's say existing file or web page. So if I want to, let's say this is text to display, let's just say file, and then instead of putting an address down here, I can find any file on my machine. Let's pick a Word document. I'm going to pick this one. You pick whatever you like. I click OK. And now I have, a link to a Word document. Okay. Now this is useful. A lot of times you put together, a spreadsheet, and you may link out to, hey, the instructions on how to use the spreadsheet, right? Or health file, or policy file, whatever it might be. Okay, so you can bring a lot of things into here. Now the last thing we're going to do is, and I don't know if we did this or not yet, but let's go to I don't know, let's go to Q1. And let's type, let's say H4. Let's type special area. I don't know what the hell that means, but special area. And I'm just going to make it special with an accent. And I think we cover this a little bit later, but do you guys remember when we made a table, it actually had a name for itself? Do you remember it was, instead of it being like A1 through J49 as a range, there was a name ascribed to the table, like Miko table or Win table. Do you guys remember that? Same thing with the pivot table, okay? It becomes a named range. Well, I can also define names. For example, what is this cell known as? If you were to explain this cell to someone, what would you call it? You'd call it H4, okay? That's not a great name unless you're like a Star Wars robot. So what we're gonna do is we're gonna give it a name, okay? So let's go up here to this area, see where it says H4, and just click on that, and let's call it Miko zone. And I hit enter. Now, this is known as not H4, but the Miko zone. Now, we're going to do a lot of this later. I think it's a future module, because it's very useful in a lot of different ways. When I'm debugging formulas, right? And maybe I have formulas that have, 10, 15 cells involved. Well, if you look at it, you're debugging it, you're saying like, what the hell is B6 minus C6? And you have to go and look and see what B6 is and C6 is. But if you call B6 profit, and you call C6, revenue or whatever it is, then hey, it's, revenue, well, that doesn't make sense, but say it's revenue plus profit, okay? Then it becomes a lot easier to debug. And the other thing we can do as well, let's go back to the documentation tab. And let's put in here, go to Miko zone. And I'm going to insert a hyperlink here. I'm going to go to place in this document. And we already did a place in this document where we link to a worksheet, like document 403. But we can go and link to a defined name, whether that defined name be a table, a pivot table, or a cell, okay, or a group of cells. Sometimes it is a group of cells. But I'm going to link to Miko zone. I click OK. And now I have a link to, the Miko zone. So it'll link to that document, that area, if you will. Okay, so this may not make a whole lot of sense to you when we're dealing with all these navigational things, all these grouping workbooks together. But one of the things that students, when they come back, they tell me is, when we deal with these assignments, we have 4 worksheets, and we have, 20 data items on it, but they get massive worksheets, okay? They get like all the transactions were conducted for our company for the last 3 years, okay? With thousands and thousands of rows and thousands or hundreds of columns, and they gotta make sense out of it, And so all these things can be very beneficial when you're trying to, take a fire hose worth of data and take a sip from it, if you will, right? You're just trying to get one nuanced thing, and it can be very difficult to navigate and time consuming, but all these things can help out. So that's hyperlinks. Those are very beneficial, very useful. The other thing I want to show you, this is probably fine. We also have available, so a couple things we learned. We know what a workbook is, right? We save workbooks all the time. What else did we save? Just this module. What else did we save? It brought up, we opened that up. It opened up all the workbooks we were working with, and also made our area exactly as I left it. What do we call that? That was just this module. That was just yesterday or Wednesday. We called that a workspace, right? So I can't remember what it was, but we saved as a workspace, and it was like XLSW or something like that. I can't remember the exact thing. Well, the other thing I can save or create beyond workbooks is templates. And as the name sounds like, templates are a template that I can use later. Now, Excel has a bunch of built-in templates, okay? So if you go up to File and you go to New, all right, you'll see, and this is true in Word or Excel or PowerPoint, you will see a bunch of templates, okay, that you can use. Let's look at, I don't know, let's go to timesheets, okay? These are built into Excel. There's a folder that Excel looks at for these things. So if I go to templates or timesheets, and I don't know, let's go to, looks like all of you have to download. Let's go to the biweekly timesheet and download it.
Is that the first one you clicked?
I don't care which one you pick, whatever you like, I just want to show you this. But you'll see, hopefully we see, a template is just that. It gives you a framework to enter data. And you'll see the formulas are still here, but there's no data in there, right? Like it's saying, if I click on, if you bring up the one I clicked on or any total, you'll see there's a formula in there. If sum is greater than D4, you enter more than 24 hours, else put sum E14, K14. So the formulas are there, the formatting is there, but the data isn't there to enter, okay? Now, if I bring up this template and I fill it out, let's just, put in some numbers and see what happens, okay? And I go up here to File, and I go to Save As. It doesn't any longer save it as a template. It saves it as a workbook. So that template that I pulled up doesn't get overwritten, if you will. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's still like a blank template that I can use. So now I'm saving as a workbook with this data in it. So that's the benefit. Like, you can create a template from a workbook, right? Just delete everything out. But what happens a lot of times is people do that. They clear all the data, then they save it, and they just overwritten something that was important to them, right? So it was actual data. So when we create a template, that's less likely to happen. So if I save this, I would save this as a workbook. So let's go back to our recent, and let's pull up our New Mexico. Let us put on here, let's go to quarter one, and let's group quarter one through quarter four. How am I going to group quarter one through quarter four? So whatever I do in this spreadsheet applies to quarter one through four. What would I use? I would shift, right? So shift, quarter one, quarter four. Okay, it takes a little laggy because I have Screencast-O-Matic in the background. But you can see quarter one through quarter four is now all white. And up above, I can't see it, but it should say group, right? It should say group. So what I want to do here is let's make a total. We can do this quite quickly because we've done it before. So I'm going to say total. And then let's auto sum everything here. And then drag that down. And while we're here, so that you can see styles also apply. And I don't care exactly what you do, but apply some styles to this deal somewhere. How do I ungroup now? Now that I have those four worksheets ungrouped, how do I ungroup? Just click to a non-grouped worksheet. So I go to documentation. My group is no longer, but I can see, hey, it did those changes to all four of those. Now if I go to File, Save As, You'll see it's saving it as a workbook, which is good. It's actual data. But I want to use this to create a template that I'm going to use, for other states, if you will, right? We had New Mexico, Utah, Colorado. What if New Jersey wants in on this action? Well, if I group quarter 1 through 4 again, and let's delete out the data, so B6 through E12, just delete that. Okay, and it should have made that change to all 4. Okay, you'll note that the formulas are still here, but the data is not. You guys with me? And let's go up to File. And this time we're going to save it as, a template. So on the drop down, you'll see Excel template. And you can save this template anywhere you like. You can save it on, a shared network drive on your desktop. But you notice as soon as you select Excel template, okay, it changes the directory up there. You see it says Microsoft templates. Yours might look a little different. Does yours say Microsoft templates? Okay, that is a folder that Excel checks for templates. It says this is where templates are usually stored, so it makes it available to you, and I'll show you where. But you can store them anywhere. Okay, you can share them, whatever it is. But let's just say this is let's save it as a template, and we'll save it as a state template. We'll write state template, and then click Save. And then exit out of it. Okay, so I have nothing open at this point, but I want to, New Jersey wants to start making sales of animal habitat tickets apparently. So I don't want to just copy the workbook. I want to start out with a blank template, so I'm going to go to File. I'm going to go to New, and these are a lot of the templates from Office.com. But if I go to My Templates, because I stored it in that folder that Microsoft gives me, you'll see my, because I download that biweekly template, it makes it my template as well. Excuse me. But there is also the state template. So I click OK. And then we have, the template that we built. If I start putting data in it, you see the formulas are still working. And what's nice about this is now when I go up to File, Save As, okay, it saves as an Excel workbook. So it's a different extension. Even though the name it says State Template, if I save it it's not going to save over that other one because it's a different extension. It's unique. But this one I'm going to call, let's call it New Jersey. NJ. And just save it. I'll save it anywhere, but save it in your desktop, I guess. Okay, so templates can be useful, especially if you're working for an organization and they say, every one of our timesheets needs to look like this, right? We have the company logo up here, or, I don't care what branch we roll this out to, this is exactly the calculations we want done. I think about it even in the university world. There's budget requests. We follow a template that's provided by the provost office. What kind of budget increments do you want? Classes follow a template that comes from the registrar's office. So organizations often use templates for gathering of data in a standardized format from a lot of individuals. So that concludes Module 6. Okay, I want to know the material, the new material. We're going to do the in-class case in a moment here. But are there any questions about anything we did in Module 6? Okay, so let's I'm gonna close this out or stop it.